Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Stacey and this is Cuppa Cha Tea Channel, the place for all tea addicts, lovers and practitioners to build your tea knowledge. So in this episode, I want to look back on the week that was here in Melbourne, an exceptional week of tea for all the tea lovers, addicts and practitioners, professionals and industry people. It all kicked off with the Australian Tea Cultural Seminar, which is a gathering of tea enthusiasts, tea businesses, tea professionals here in Australia. This is its second year where we all gather together in a way of strategizing and working together as a team to build and shape the tea community and raise the awareness of tea here in Australia. So in this, it was over the weekend of Saturday and Sunday, which was the 8th and the 9th of September. And we kicked off the first day with 3 amazing guest speakers. One of the innovations this year, like I said, this is the second year. The first year was in Canberra, and this year here in Melbourne. And it was kicked off with one of the first innovations was a teacup competition leading up to the seminar, and it was opened up to Australian ceramic people, and the winner was Anamika Mulder from Western Australia, Perth in Western Australia. She created a beautiful cup which is sitting here, and it represented the colours. They weren't just blue, there was also green, and there was also like a sandy, beigey colours, and it all represented the coastline of Australia. It was actually beautiful. Each cup was individual, and every participant received a cup and they could buy extra if they wanted to. So well done to Anamika, it was fantastic, and also well done to Addicts, Australian Tea Cultural Seminar, for coming up with such a great idea and a great marriage between 2 industries here in Australia. So that will continue because it was so successful. I will put a link to Anamika's website below so you can see more of her work, and it would be lovely to see this sort of innovation or this sort of project go global throughout the world, and other tea festivals and conferences where they work with the ceramic community. The second speaker that we had was Jenny Dodds from New York. She came over, she was visiting Australia, so she popped in and gave us a wonderful talk on tea and art. And she had been in Australia for about a week prior, and she'd travelled to Alice Springs. And in Alice Springs, she purchased some beautiful Indigenous art. She used select pieces and married and paired them with some of the teas that she had brought in from Nepal. So it was a lovely way to be introduced to the Nepalese teas and to see how much they've progressed over the last even 5 years in their production ability. Normally you have a standard presentation where you're being told about the country and how it's moved forward, but to be presented by looking at artwork and smelling and tasting and focusing on the aroma and the flavour of the tea, which is more about true tea appreciation anyway. And all of a sudden you realise you are drinking some beautiful teas. So thank you to Jenny, and thank you for taking the time to show us beautiful Nepalese teas. I'm going to have more about Jenny later on in other episodes and some of her teas and the work she does there in Nepal. Now, third speaker was Chloe, and she was from China, and she is, let me just make sure I got this right, she's the Deputy Director of the China International Tea Culture Institute. And Chloe's fantastic. She's part of the new movement in China to take the Chinese tea out there into the modern world. So she's very enthusiastic about the children learning about tea and the Chinese teas and the culture and everything. So she was lovely to have. And all 3 guest speakers stayed with us all weekend and got involved in the strategy workshops that were held the next day. So they made themselves available to all the tea people that had come along to the seminar, and very gracious for them to give up their time to spend time with us. So the workshops were fantastic. We've come up with some really great strategies for the next 12 months. And I can talk about those in 12 months' time. Last year, one of the strategies was to look at a tea award for the industry that focuses on Australian tea, but also Australian businesses that represent quality tea coming into Australia. And at the time, we looked at the Hobart Fine Food Awards, which is part of the Royal Agricultural Show here in Australia, which has more than 100 years of history. They worked very well with us, and they made a complete separate tea category. So it was the first time where tea was put out there in a category of its own, along with coffee and wine and cheeses, etc., etc. And to be aligned with an industry such as the Royal Agricultural Show, which is in every state of Australia, is a wonderful thing for the tea industry here. And the winner, which is Kim Cooper up there at the Steepery Tea Co., had a beautiful Chinese black tea that won the golden medal, and she has certainly seen a wonderful response out there. And we had Annette with us from the Royal Agricultural Show in Hobart, and she attended the seminar as well. Very keen to continue to work with the Australian tea industry, tea businesses as well. So all positive. So that was how we started off. On the Saturday night, we, for the people that were at the seminar, we had a showing of the Tea Explorer. So Jeff, we had your movie there, and we all enjoyed it. We had it in a very old iconic building here in Melbourne, and we walked into the room and found that they had just put a whole lovely graffiti up on the wall. But there was a small enough space there that we could still show the movie, and we had a couple of Pu'er companies there serving us Pu'er tea at the same time, which was pretty cool. And it was enjoyed by everyone, and then we went off and we all ate dinner. So that was a really great weekend. It was a start then to a really lovely week. And from there we had the World Tea Brewing Championship at the Fine Foods of Australia. There was also the World Tea Expo as well, with the Tea Masters Cup. And then we also had some individual fringe events as well. Cheryl from Flag and Spear, she did a cheese and tea pairing evening, which was well attended, sold out. We also had on the Tuesday night, there was a small group of us that went along to Vue de Mont, which is a very well-known restaurant here in Melbourne. And Teoh there, the tea sommelier, was wonderful in creating a beautiful tea and food pairing 17-course meal for us. And Jenny Dodd was with me, and she said she was so impressed with the level of the standard of the food and the tea pairing. Definitely a big thumbs up to Teoh there. He is fantastic, amazing palate. And Vue de Mont, all I can say is thank you. What a wonderful night. It was great to take my international guests there, and you didn't let me down. So good on you guys. And then on Wednesday, there was a small group of us that went out and scouted up at the Teoh factory for a bit of a tour, and we took our international guests with us up there, and we took them around the factory and then went to George Barrell's Alpine Tea Farm, so they could see tea in Australia and where it's actually grown here in Victoria. So thank you to Peter up there at Teoh. He was a lovely host, and thank you to George and Antoinette at their lovely tea farm. Thank you for the Tim Tams for our international guests and your lovely hospitality. So it was a fabulous week. And next year, the Addicts, the Australian Tea Cultural Seminar, is in Hobart, and then the following year it will be in Brisbane. I'm going to put the link to Addicts' Facebook page down below and their website down below, so you can keep up to date of when these events will be on. If you're an international person, we'd love to see you. Come and visit us and join in on the whole tea global community with us. So see you next week and enjoy the photos. Bye for now.